Hello, Om Shanti. Good evening. Welcome.
Om Shanti, good evening.
Everyone is doing well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So today we have taken up the topic, stop thinking, start being. Stop thinking, start. So who are we? Human beings or human thinkings? Who are we? Beings. Human being. Generally,
that was funny.
Yeah. Generally, we tend to think and think and think, right? And that's where the more we think, the more we think. We try to kind of fix something by thinking, but actually, we are making it more and more complicated by thinking. And when we just be ourselves, then everything just falls into place. In Sunday's message, we heard that spirituality is something to be experienced. And so it's one thing to understand, one thing to talk about it, but another thing is to experience it. And if we see how do we experience anything, for experience we need to be present in the moment. Even if we are experiencing the sweetness of something, suppose our mind is super busy with something and we are eating something sweet, we won't even realize that it is sweet because we are so occupied. So in the same way, to really experience it's who we really are as spiritual beings. We are beings of peace, we are beings of love, we are beings of happiness. So that is our natural nature, automatically. We don't have to make effort for it. But because we start to think too much, that's where we don't experience always. And so that's the today we look a little bit into this whole how to differentiate between thinking and being, and how to then make the shift. Right. So in this image, it's what it says: stop thinking, start being. So as if we are walking this path. On one side, it's all that we are holding on to, says doubt, fear, regrets, comparison, stress, overthinking. And what does it say at the bottom on one of the stones? What does it say? Do more. Right. So we are always in the doing mode. We want to achieve a lot. And on the other side, it says awareness, presence, acceptance, peace, and being. Right. So let's see what we have today. This one says, from thinking to being is the shift from our analytical thought, mindful presence. It means moving from over-analyzing, planning, and judging to experiencing the present moment without resistance. Instead of identifying with your internal monologue, you become the detached watcher of your thoughts. Right. And generally, we either plan something, or we label something, we judge something. That's what our inner commentary is always going on, and that's what the thinking mind really is. And so to shift it to being is just to become detached and just to watch the thoughts without being involved, right, too much. There's one image that describes this state of consciousness. Um, is this. This says, the mind settles when you remain the watcher, not the follower of thoughts. Right? When we are, it's like the trains are going and there's one train. What is it? What is one train? What is the name of that train? Past. Right? And so that train sometimes will, go very fast. And what is the other train? Fear. Right? So we don't need to board any train. We just need to just stay still and just watch, not follow. Because the moment we start to follow, that's where we, stop being ourselves. And that's where we lose the plot. Right? It's like like a small child. A small child doesn't do anything, but gives so much of happiness to everyone. And what's the reason? Because he's just himself. He's very unassuming. He doesn't complicate things, right? He's not planning about so much. And I was just thinking, even in nature, if we see like birds, they don't have to plan too much about their life. Right? They are just happily enjoying the moment. They don't even have to plan for any insurance or any passport or whatever, right? They're just enjoying, they're just being. And if we see, the original nature of the soul is also like that, but we tend to complicate or overcomplicate, right? So it's all about just coming back to just being ourselves, right? So one says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Right? And that's where, in spirituality, there is only the one, the divine, who makes me into me. He makes me into me. Right? Yeah. So it's like he's awakening, the divine is awakening the real me. But otherwise, like even with children, sometimes we want them to be a certain way. We want, them to behave in a certain way or, follow something. And in the same with everyone in life, we have some kind of expectations. But the real, sustenance we can give to our children is to just allow them to be who they are. Because that's where their, true potential will automatically emerge. And that's what family really is. It's like, we don't judge, we don't, think too much. We're just ourselves without any pretense. And that's what, when we say divine family is also just that. So it's just trying to, not trying to be somebody else, but just to be myself. So there is one in the to-do list that we often forget. And what is that to-do list? Is just be yourself. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. And that's actually a superpower. If we think about it, to be ourselves is a superpower. Because that's when the real potential of the soul is awakened. Right? And if we see, even the divine doesn't think too much. The divine is. It's just a presence. In the same way the soul is, it's just a presence. And so the more I just be myself, the more I'm just present. And that's the energy of eternity. just to be present. And that's what we are learning in meditation, is to be ourselves. This one says, you are the director of your life. Don't play the scripts written by others. You are the director of your life. Don't play the scripts written by others. Because that's what we sometimes go too much into, thinking or analyzing or over-analyzing, right? And that's where we may not even do a lot, but we get often tired because we are trying to run a lot of scripts, or process a lot of scripts that really don't belong to us. And when I just focus, the attention on the self, and then it's very easy, and to direct my life. This one says, if you don't like a product, you can choose another. If you don't like a person, you can walk away. If you don't like what you see, you can close your eyes. If you don't know where you are, you can go elsewhere. But if you don't like who you are, then there is a problem. Right? And so, just being comfortable in my shoes, just being comfortable to be who I really am. And that's really, the whole message here, right? Just to be yourself. So there is a little video, and it's of someone who actually had a near-death experience. Maybe we have watched it before, and her name is Anita Moorjani, and she, had a kind of an out-of-body experience, and when she came back, she got in touch with her real self, and then the way she saw the world completely changed. Her life completely changed. So let's watch a little interview with her so that we can then appreciate.
But a woman in Hong Kong whose name is Anita Moorjani. She's an author, a Hay House author now, and she's written a book, a powerful book. And I read this story about Anita, and it seems that on the 2nd of February, in the year 2006, this woman was wheeled into a hospital in Hong Kong. She had been sick for 5 years. Her organs had all shut down. Her family was gathered at the emergency room. Her husband, who was here tonight, I'm honored to have met, beautiful man named Danny. And the doctors had told her family and her husband that these were her last hours. She was down to 86 or 88 pounds. Anita emerged from her coma, some 30 hours in a coma. And she has a story to tell that is so compelling. And she's here from Hong Kong to share with you some of the lessons that she learned while she was in this comatose state and what she came back to teach us. She's one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever been privileged to know and honored to support and write a foreword for her book. And she's here with us today, and I'd love you to meet her. Anita Moorjani, please, come on. Be seated.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone.
Tell us, Anita, you're in a coma, your husband is whispering in your ear, your mother is there, your brother's on his way to see you, everybody's waiting for you to take your last breath. What were you observing, and what did you learn, and what did you come back to teach us?
Wow, there's so much there. Even though I was in a coma, I was actually aware of everything that was happening around me. I'm sorry, I still get emotional when I think of that state. It was 5 years ago, but I still remember it as if it was yesterday. I was in a coma, but I was aware of everything the doctors were doing. I was aware of my husband. My mother was crying. She was, because the doctors had told them that I only had a few more hours to live. My organs had shut down, and these were my last hours. And I wanted to assure them that I was feeling fine, that I was feeling great, but I couldn't. I couldn't understand why I couldn't communicate with them. And each time it felt as though I was getting involved in the drama, and my emotions were being pulled towards feeling for my mother and my brother. At the same time, it was as though I was being pulled away. And it was as though my energy or my awareness or consciousness was just expanding. And it was just expanding and expanding and just getting bigger and bigger. And it felt as though I could feel what everybody was feeling. I could feel what my husband was feeling, what my mother was feeling, and the doctors as they were running around trying to save my life. And then I became aware of what I can only describe as unconditional love. It was as though I was just surrounded or embraced by this unconditional love. And when I say unconditional, I mean really unconditional. It was like I didn't have to do anything to prove myself or to be anything, or I was loved unconditionally regardless. It was as though even things that I could have perceived to have done wrong in my life, it wasn't as though I was being judged. There was no judgment whatsoever. There was only compassion. It was like compassion, and it was like I understood in that state why I would do whatever I did in life. It was, everything I did was out of the limitation of being in a physical body.
So you were looking at your body, and you were given a choice, is that right, whether to get back into this sick body?
That's right.
Or not, and what did you do?
I became aware of the presence of my father. He had passed away 10 years before me. Mm-hmm. And I also became aware of my best friend who had passed away 2 years before, and I had missed her desperately because she was like a sister to me.
Did you feel when you were in that near-death experience state and that coma, watching it, that coming back also meant that you had something to teach everyone? And what was it that you felt you had to teach them?
I felt that I had to come back because there was a greater purpose. Because at first I didn't want to come back into my body because my body was so sick. And there was just so much unconditional love on that side. It's really, really hard to leave. So if anybody has lost anyone, I can completely understand why they would stay there. But also, I seem to get the message. I seem to understand that it wasn't my time, and I had a mission. I had a purpose, and I had not yet fulfilled. And I seemed to understand that even in order to fulfill my purpose, I wouldn't have to really go and figure it out, or I wouldn't have to pursue anything. I would just have to go back and live fearlessly and just not be afraid to be myself. And that's all I had to do. I also sensed that my husband and I still had a purpose to fulfill. My husband he's truly my soulmate because he was there talking to me all the way through, talking in my ear and holding my hand, and I was aware of that.
You learned some very important things.
Yes.
Was it like just about being positive, to be a positive thinker? Was that...
No, in fact, being positive is not enough. I used to always be positive because I was a people pleaser. I used to always stay positive because I never wanted to bother anyone or trouble anyone. I learned that more important than being positive is being yourself. I learned that that's actually the most important thing, is to be yourself. Because that's why we're here. We're here because we're facets of one. It was as though we are all one. Without my body, it felt as though I was connected to everyone and everything.
Was fear a big part of your life and had something to do with
being ill?
Your being sick?
Yes, fear was a big part of my life before I was sick. I used to live a life in fear of not being good enough, fear of everything, fear of illness, fear of not meeting other people's expectations. And but my near-death experience taught me that there's nothing to fear. In fact, when I was given the choice, I felt I reached a point where I had the choice of whether to come back or not. And it was my father and my best friend who actually said, now that you know who you truly are, go back and live your life fearlessly.
And have you been doing that?
Yes, I have.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anita Moorjani.
It was really nice the way she explained that there's so much of unconditional love on the other side, because that's what, the soul really is, and that's what the divine is. It's just that because we have created these layers of body consciousness, we feel limited at times. But just to be ourselves is what this whole journey is all about. Right. So this one says, do not try to be different, just try to be yourself. Right? Because many times we try to be different. Right? And this one says, just be yourself. Mm-hmm. Right. I think she was mentioning like sometimes when we are not able to be in that state, what happens is we start judging things, we start judging the self, we start judging people around us. And that's where we are not able to be in that presence, the being mode. So in psychology, it's called this whole aspect of us being, judging every experience or everything in life. It's called the judgment loop. Anyone heard about this, the judgment loop? Mm-hmm. So there are two kinds of judgment. One is we judge ourselves. So it says the self-judgment loop, frequently replaying mistakes, feeling bad, and obsessing over being better, which ultimately keeps you in the same mental space that caused the error. Right? So it's like I'm replaying my mistakes and I want to be better, but the mental state is such that I'm not able to, grow. And I'm in a state where I'll keep on making the mistakes. So it's like a loop. And it doesn't allow me to be myself because I'm constantly judgmental about myself. And the other is, it says the fear or judgment loop, a cycle where fear of judgment from others dictates choices, causing a person to take one step forward and two steps back. often driven by people-pleasing tendencies. So in this, both the ways, so either I judge myself or I'm, in the fear loop, right, where I'm trying to please everyone and I'm, just, in that loop. So both of these, they don't allow us to be who we are, right? And that's where, it's the practice comes of getting free from judgment, right? And that's where the spiritual wisdom comes. And the more I realize that everyone in this world is innocent, every soul is innocent, I am innocent, there is no one to blame for anything, and everything is perfect in this moment. The more I feel this, the more I can then be myself. Otherwise, I'm constantly in the thought, and analysis or, judgment, right? And that's why there is a very nice quote, and this one says, the ability to observe without judgment is the highest form of intelligence. The ability to observe without judgment is the highest form of intelligence. Because generally that's what we, we observe, but we also start to judge. This should not be like this should be like this. And that's what I feel a child doesn't judge. It doesn't know how to judge. A child just, he just observes. That's why a child is a true observer. That's why he can distance himself from thoughts, right? So one is the thinking and the other is observing. Right. So we'll watch a little clip, and this has to do with how quickly we form judgments and how quickly we can go into that loop of labeling others.
Awesome job! You know what I'm thinking? Snack time! Let's go. Okay, let's see what we have here. Which one do you want? That wasn't nice of Rachel. Where did she pick up those greedy tendencies? Taking both apples and biting into them. That's so unlike her.
Dad.
What is it, honey?
Have this one. This apple's more juicier and sweeter.
Did we follow the video? So we are so quick to judge, right? And then the father is thinking that, why is she taking both the apples and she shouldn't be doing this? But the reason she took it was because she wanted to give the sweeter one to her dad. Right? We often, start to judge without realizing, what the other person has in mind. But we are so quick to form opinions, right? And because of that, we're often not able to be ourselves. And because of that, we are going into too much of overthinking, right? We're not able to be ourselves, right? And so this one says, being yourself doesn't mean you stop making yourself better. It's doing so without comparing your journey to others. Right? Because sometimes we think, oh, okay, I'm comfortable, but does that mean I don't improve? No, I do improve. But my journey, my trajectory, my speed is different. And I don't compare it with others because everyone is unique. Everyone is special. And so, that's what, when Baba says, just pay attention on yourself and don't think about the world. It means just pay attention on your journey and don't compare it with anyone else's because everyone's journey is unique and special. Then we'll also discuss one, like how to be in that being mode whilst we are busy doing things. Because we have a life to live, and of course we have so many tasks that we need to do, and that's where we often also lose ourselves. So how to keep that balance of not losing the self when we are busy doing things. Right? So let's look at this one. So this one says, so doing mode, right? So doing mode. So what is this? Let's get everything done, right? So you have a task list, you have some internal things, you have some external things, and we have to-do list, right? And then we have a reality and we have an ideal self and we want to, follow certain steps and we want to be there, right? And so what this one says is, constantly in activity, we can lose touch with our inner compass, the body awareness, which can help skillfully guide our decisions, right? Because we can still operate from our superficial level of consciousness. Before long, we are doing out of habit rather than from conscious choice, stuck on propelling ourselves into the future and missing out on the experience of the present. Right? So we're constantly racing. I have to do this, then this, then this. But then I often then miss out on being available in this moment. Of course, not only does the future never arrive, but when our attention is automatically trained on what's next, we can fail to spot signs of stress or exhaustion. So that's where the doing mode can easily take over. Right? And that's where we have to gently remind ourselves to come back to the being. There is this another difference between, it says driven or doing mode versus being mode. So this one says fixed on an internal goal. In the doing mode, I always, get kind of fixated on this is how it should be, or this is how I should be. Even in spiritual journey, I can get fixated. Versus in the being mode, I'm not attached to a goal. Right? That's what, Baba says, just experience. Like, don't try to complicate it. Sense of have to or should. I have to, I should. Versus accepts and allows what is. Right? Then driven doing mode, constant monitoring. Being mode, no pressure to monitor. Focus is on past or future. Focus is on present moment. Evaluates feelings as good to hang on to or bad to get rid of. Right? So if I have a feeling, I'll say, oh, this is a good feeling, I should have it. Oh, no, this is not a good feeling, let me. So this means I'm in the doing mode. In the being mode, feelings come into awareness and are temporary. So they will come, they will go. I'm not too much focused on them. Focus of experience is on progress towards goal, experience has freedom to be fresh and responsive. Right? So in the doing mode, I'm very kind of fixated. And, of course, initially it is, it's good to be in that way, but we can't sustain it for a long period of time because then we become, stressed and exhausted. But we have to learn to just operate from being more, just accept everything, everyone, including the self, the way I am, and just enjoy this moment to the fullest, right? And that's what allows me to be myself. There's a nice quote, and it says, "Shift happened when I realized not every thought in my head deserves to be believed." Because we tend to believe everything, right? But we don't need to, we're just aware of ourselves and we just allow thoughts to come and go. I'm just myself, I'm being. Right? There's another analogy to understand this difference between the being mode and the thinking or the doing mode. This one says, "You are the sky, not the clouds." You are the sky, not the clouds. So sky is still, sky is, just very, very quiet, unlimited, versus the clouds are like these thoughts and feelings that will come, will go. Sometimes it will be, like a very huge cloud, sometimes like different forms. But then that's where this being is really, to go beyond all these clouds of thoughts, to just be myself, to go beyond into the sky. That's what we practice in meditation also, to go beyond this physical dimension into the sky, beyond the sky. Right. There is a nice little video that describes these two modes of operation, the doing mode and the being mode, and how we can, shift our attention from the doing mode to the being.
Now we're going to look at two different modes our minds can operate from: doing mode and being mode. Doing mode is our analytical mode of mind. It's what we use for analyzing situations logically and rationally, or making judgments or comparisons, setting and achieving goals, and creating and implementing plans. Doing mode is effective for solving problems and accomplishing concrete tasks. Doing mode helps us get from point A to point B. In doing mode, we start with an idea of how we want something to be, some sort of goal or plan. Then we compare this to how things are right now. And then, if there's a difference between the way things are right now and the way we want them to be, we figure out what needs to happen to close this gap. And we come up with a series of steps designed to take things from A to B. And then we monitor our progress, test hypotheses, and make adjustments until we end up where we want to be. The alternative to doing mode is being mode. Being mode involves simply paying attention to our experiences non-judgmentally, the way that they are in the present moment. And so being mode is a mode that we're operating from when we're being mindful. In being mode, we're not judging our experiences, and especially not our internal experiences of thoughts, feelings and emotions, and body sensations, as good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, desirable or undesirable. We're not trying to fix or solve or figure out anything. We're simply allowing things to be however they are in the present moment, just paying attention to whatever's here and being rather than doing. Being mode is generally the mode of mind that we're in if we're relaxed or doing something relaxing, like listening to music, or reading for pleasure, or enjoying a cup of coffee on a lazy Saturday morning, or taking a bath, or doing yoga or meditation, or any sort of quiet reflection or prayer, or going for a walk, especially out in nature, or listening to someone talk without worrying about what we're going to say next, or just mindfully doing any routine activity throughout our day. Now let's look at some of the characteristics of being mode and contrast them to doing mode. Doing mode involves things such as judging, planning, categorizing, evaluating, and problem solving, and takes things on from an analytical, logical, rational, and quantitative perspective. On the other hand, being mode involves awareness, noticing, watching, exploring, and observing, and using intuition, creativity, curiosity, and operating from a qualitative perspective. While doing mode is about taking control, fixing things, and making them a certain way, being mode is about acceptance and openness, willingness, allowing, and letting be. In doing mode, we're busy and productive. In being mode, we're more still and relaxed. Doing mode involves a lot of thinking, while being mode is more about feeling. Doing mode is future-oriented and goal-directed. Being mode is present-oriented and focused in the moment. It's important to remember that what we're talking about here by doing mode and being mode are modes of mind. We're referring to what's going on with our minds and not what's going on with our behavior. We don't need to use our doing mode of mind every time we do something. As we've been learning, anything we do, we can do mindfully. And when we do things mindfully, we're engaging our being mode of mind rather than our doing mode of mind. And since doing mode and being mode are modes of mind and not referring to what we're actually doing at the time, you could be lying on the couch all day and not physically doing anything, yet your mind could still be engaged in doing mode, thinking, planning, ruminating, dwelling on things. Your mind can be doing a lot, even though physically you're not doing anything. Or you could have an action-packed day in which you're doing lots of things, but if you're doing them mindfully, your mind may be primarily operating out of being mode, despite the fact that you're doing so much. And so being mode and doing mode refer to what's going on in your mind, regardless of what you're doing physically and the types of activities you're engaged in. And in the next video, we'll learn how to reduce stress and calm our emotions by spending less time in doing mode and more time just being. And please hit the like button.
I thought it beautifully describes like what is the difference and how we generally, tend to operate from the doing mode, even if we are still relaxed or even when we are doing meditation, but the mind is active. We are thinking, planning, but in the being mode, it's just like I am myself. I'm very relaxed. I'm very still. And I can be busy outside, but I can be very still, relaxed inside. And that's what Baba often talks about. Karma yoga is just that. Right? So I can be busy outside, but it's just like I have just to be still inside. Cha. I will just end by this one quote. It says, you change the world by being yourself. Change the world by being yourself. So there's nothing much that we have to do. There is this task of world transformation, but it starts with, I would say, self-transformation. And what self-transformation really is to be yourself. It's to be myself. Right. And that's where we start being, right? And just take our attention away from the physical dimension. Let's take a moment and and channelize our attention to this beautiful, invisible, eternal being, the energy that we all are. It's very peaceful, very pure, and loving energy. And we are these beautiful beings, and we are going through this human experience here as we play our roles on the stage of life. And we just become aware of our truth, of who we are as these eternal travelers. And we just emerge those feelings of belonging to one another as a spiritual family, and also to the divine, the one who belongs to me. And just pay attention to being myself, allowing all the other layers to fade away. I'm just myself, and I accept every scene of this play of life without judgment, without comparing, or without any inner commentary. And I just simply spend time being myself, even whilst busy outside, I'm easy inside. So I just start being and stop thinking. Om Shanti. Shanti. Thank you everyone for your time and presence. So let us share what we'll take today. Anyone would like to share any thoughts? Please feel free to. Anyone online like to share?
Om Shanti, Saurabh bhai.
Om Shanti.
Such a beautiful class.
Thank you.
The summary, the takeaway message is being yourself. Also keep improving yourself and staying positive. And sorry, I'm panting because I was working as well. I just wanted to share with you a little experience. Sunit Bhai is my Lokik brother. He's also in this session. Today, we had an interview with Anita Moorjani, and I got through Amazon the book delivered of Anita Moorjani to him today. It is a message I think Baba is trying to convey, that learn from her, be like her. That was beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share?
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Kiran.
Beautiful class. I always enjoy your class. It's just not able to attend all the time. But
thank you. No problem.
अच्छा लगा that we have tendency of judging people before knowing everything. We'll say, oh, why she's doing, not knowing what is the intention behind. So that was beautiful message. वो apple का दोनों apple अपने मुंह में डाल दिए बच्ची ने. And you say, where did she get this kind of habit? That's not how but not knowing what she's trying to do anyway. और दूसरा, being yourself, मतलब काम करते चलो, उसके फल की इच्छा तो ये शुरू से सुनते आए हैं ना, गीता में भी और बाबा भी कहते हैं बस कर्म करते चलो, कर्म योगी बनो, बीइंग मोड, और be a cloud, a sky, not a cloud. And change the word, but being yourself. बाबा का तो मोटो यही है ना, हम बदलते हैं या हम जो भी कुछ हम हैं वही वर्ड बनता है हमारे सामने, वही आता है. The more we study these things के हमारे विचार ही हमारी दुनिया क्रिएट करते हैं. What we are inside, that's what we see outside. तो अगर हम अच्छा देखना चाहते हैं बाहर, तो हमें भी अच्छा पहले बनना पड़ेगा, सोचना पड़ेगा, करना पड़ेगा. Very nice, beautiful class. Thank you so much, Saurabh bhai. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you, Baba. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Saurabh bhai.
Om Shanti.
I joined again today because I could not afford to miss this one because it really gave me a lasting good feeling in for the session I attended last week, and especially doing versus being. It's very important for all of us to make sure that we keep our conscious mind alive. For that, we create a space in our mind, like build in time to do nothing, allowing yourself to get bored or just exist. So that's like, while doing helps us manage life, being provides the richness of experiencing it, and that was called out very nicely in that in your message. So thank you for that. The thing is, we all know these things. It's just we need to reinforce that and create as a part of our habit and lifestyle, to just like how we are breathing, how we do things. This becomes, once it becomes part of it, then we become from just a person to a spiritual person. So that's the journey I'm trying to pursue with you.
Very nice. Thank you, Sunit Bhai, and yeah, welcome again. And thanks for sharing. We hope to meet you sometime soon. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, Sister Deborah. Yeah.
Om Shanti Bhai.
Om Shanti. Shanti.
So many little points here. You said just be yourself, and I sang in my head, be all that you can be, and then I love, so just be yourself, and then you said, oh shoot, where is it? Oh, if you don't like who you are, there's a problem or something like that. And I thought, it made me contemplate. Before I was a BK in Alaska, I pulled out a journal from before I was a BK, and there was no self-love at all. I mean, it was amazing what I wrote. I was like, gosh. To today, when you said, if you don't like who you are, there's a problem or something like that. And when you said that, I thought, I love who I am. And that's the big difference, these teachings that we have. Wow. And I love the little Apple movie. That was so sweet, so precious. And your closing. You change the world by being yourself. Thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Sister Deborah. Good to hear you. Thank you so much.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Great.
Om Shanti.
Any Shanti, Nitabe.
Thank you, Saurabh bhai, for your beautiful class. And what I have taken back is that you the director of your life. Don't play the scripts written by others. And just be yourself. I even liked Anita's message that it is important to be positive, and it's more important to be just yourself, because you change the world by being yourself. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dapen. Sure. Yeah, your angels here. Share.
Thank you, Sadhguru. So my key takeaway is just being yourself. Or we often judge very quickly, like the example you shared, like a little girl who was just, checking which one is great, good to give her father. But her father started thinking, like, why is she not giving me? So sometimes we start, judge very quickly. So my key takeaway is like, don't judge too much. And like the differences between the doing mode and in being mode, whatever the feelings is come, just just watch like an observer, as Baba always told us, be sakshi drashta. So yeah, thank you so much.
Shanti, thank you so much. Amazing session. I think the two key takeaways for me are just be yourself and observe without judgment and walk on liking yourself. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Rather wonderful topic. I think pretty much all of it I was able to reflect. Last week was a very difficult week for me in terms of this whole, as a soul, I'm learning and growing. Went through severe anxiety, all because of judgment. Mm-hmm. So when you displayed on the screen of this loop of judgment or fear, it's it was a reflection moment right now, is the fact that it's because I am judging others, and hence I'm judging what I'm doing, what mistakes I've done before. So it's a loop. What you do to others, it's gonna affect you when you think about your action. So I think it was a very, I'm sorry, it was not last week, it was this week. It was very rough. And, I think for me, the takeaway of that reflection and that loop was very much, I could resonate how my actions are cause of that pain in my mind. And then the Buddha's message about the highest form of intelligence is not judging. And a long journey for me to go through. I really needed to hear this today, so thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay. Anyway.
Shanti, thank you so much for the class. Just being yourself, the true self is, I think, what Baba always tells us, being in that consciousness, that who we originally are, like the soul. And I think it requires practice constantly, like Baba keeps telling us, like to always, rotate these, discuss of self-realization, who we were, and like how we evolved, from that time, and now where are we? And like the cycle is like again, going towards the beginning, and we have a responsibility to being as a Brahmin, we have a responsibility to like change ourselves, and also be like take care of others, like and help them change as well, through us changing first. So again, like one of the brothers who was asking, who was saying that we all know all of this, but it's the practice that is missing. So once we keep doing that, keep churning the knowledge, imbibing that, bringing it to our self-awareness, and then acting on that is really important to get back into that consciousness of who we really are. And that's all you were trying to, that's what you were trying to get us on, right? So yeah, thanks for taking this class, and thank you, Saurabh. Om Shanti.
Sure. Sure. Om Shanti. Thank you.